That's right, that sound of royalty-free generic rock music can only mean one thing. It's time again for another action-packed, thrill-soaked, thrill-soaked episode of The Gary Lee Show. I'm Gary Lee. There you go. Are you happy? I introduced myself. I still can't get over how listen, when I ask people, like when I ask the listeners of this podcast to email in to help me with something or to be a part of the show, I don't get any emails. None of you will take the time, the 30 seconds it takes to send me an email. But every single episode, I forget to announce myself or introduce myself. I will get 10 emails complaining about this. You obviously know who I am. My name is in the title. There should be no confusion here, but just in case there is, I'm Gary Lee. This is the Gary Lee Show. It's a podcast. It's available wherever podcasts can be found. That includes iTunes. That includes Spotify. That includes Stitcher Radio. That includes Google Play or whatever Google calls their podcast category. I'm everywhere except for iHeartRadio, as you've heard me mention. Okay, so I'm in need of a job. I have a job, but I need another job. I need 2 jobs. I have one. I need another. So that means I've been on the job hunt. And man, the worst part, like you think the worst part of working is actually working and actually having a job and actually going to some place every day, 9 to 5, clocking in, clocking out, dealing with customers, dealing with bosses, dealing with employees. You think that stuff is the worst part about working. That's not the worst part. That's not the worst part at all. The worst part about working is actually finding the job. I spend more time, more hours a week finding a job than I do working at the job I actually have. And you forget that that's the worst part because you've been working for so long, those annoyances have been replaced by other annoyances. But I'm on the job hunt. I've been putting the word out. I've been asking people, if they know anything or if they have any openings at jobs. And here's the thing, like what will happen is people who have jobs, they will offer to help you get hired with them, right? And it never works out. It never works out. And then, so the first thing I do is I go to all my people. I go to all my friends who have jobs, and I ask them if they can help me and hook me up with a job, or at least an interview. I don't need to be handed a job, but at least get my foot in the door. And they all tell me, yeah, no problem. We'll get you hired. We'll get you set up. It'll be fine. And then you never hear anything from these people again. They just disappear. So then I start applying for jobs that I actually want. And then obviously, they don't want me. It's a heartbreaking experience. I apply for these jobs that, places that I think would be really cool to work for, or at least places I don't think would force me to kill myself if I worked there. And I don't get those jobs either. So now it's desperation time. Now I'm applying for anything, just literally anybody who would pay me. I'm putting in applications and I'm applying there. And when they don't accept you, when you get turned down by a job you didn't really want to begin with, that hurts. That's a pain. Like, it sucked when you couldn't get the job that you wanted, but when your biggest fear is actually getting hired to it, that's how you hate, and then they don't get, it's terrible. So I'm putting in the job applications, I'm doing all this stuff, and eventually one of these job applications will turn into, it'll lead to an interview, and that's a problem. I am bad at a job interview because I'm not a good actor. And make no mistake about it, when you go into a job interview, you have to lie to these people. You have to lie. Okay? Now they're going to want you to tell the truth. That's not the case. That's not what they want. Because if you told the truth, if you answered any of their questions honestly, you just wouldn't get the job. That's just not how it goes. I'm convinced that people want to hire the best liar. They want to find out that you're smart enough to lie to them. I think that's what a job interview is for. I think that's the number one reason anyone even has interviews, to find out if the person you're talking to is smart enough to give you a believable lie. Because some of the questions these people ask, there's no way you would get the job if you were honest with them. There's just no fucking way. They'll ask you stupid questions. And by the way, I've been on tons and tons of interviews for these shitty jobs that I don't want. And they all ask the same questions. They all ask the same questions. When are you available? Do you have any experience? Blah, blah, blah. But then they start diving a little deeper, and they'll ask you these other questions like, what's your worst quality, right? And they're so smug. They're so smug. They think that that's the first time that you've ever been asked that. They think this is the first time you've ever been on a job interview. They think that they're so goddamn clever. They think they got you on that one. They ask you stupid questions like, why shouldn't I hire you? And they have that fucking... I was at a job interview once where somebody was reading these questions off of like a printout that she was given by her boss. Why shouldn't you hire me? Now, if I'm honest here, okay, if I'm being honest with you, which is apparently what you want, okay, I would give you lots of reasons why you shouldn't hire me. Why shouldn't you hire me? I steal. Bit of a dick. I don't get along with other people. I don't get along with authority. I hate customers. Bad customer service. I'm constantly late. If I was honest with you, you wouldn't give me the job. So now I have to think on the fly. I have to be a good liar. Why shouldn't you hire me? I'll tell you why you shouldn't hire me. I'm too much of a people pleaser. That's why you shouldn't hire me. I'm too much of a perfectionist. That's why you shouldn't hire me. You know why you shouldn't hire me? I've been told often that I'm just too on time. I'm on time so much it's becoming a problem. It annoys the people around me. That's why you shouldn't give me the job. You know why you shouldn't hire me? Because I'm going to be so goddamn fucking good at this job that I'm going to embarrass the rest of your employees. I'm going to intimidate the rest of your employees with my strong work ethic. I'm going to make the other employees that you have at this piece of shit establishment feel bad about themselves. They're going to eventually end up quitting, and then you're just going to be stuck with me and you to run this whole fucking operation. That's why you shouldn't hire me. Because that's the lie. That's what they want you to... work sucks. I just got to tell you, work sucks. People will tell you, people use that old expression that I fucking can't stand. I hate it. They'll use that old expression, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. Because once whatever you're doing becomes your job, it becomes an obligation, and it sucks. If you do what you love will be what you hate. That's how it works. I work for myself a lot of the time. My boss is a dick. You can't... Work sucks, okay? There are some better jobs out... There's no such thing as a good job. There's just no such thing as a good job. But there are some jobs that aren't that bad. There are some jobs that are terrible. But the worst jobs are the jobs that people think are good, but that aren't good. When I was a teenager, when I was like 15... 14, 15, I was a couple years away from having an actual job, like having my first job. There were certain jobs when you were a 14-year-old boy that you just assumed were going to be good. Why? Because, well, we are stupid. Like gynecologist was one of those jobs. The pussy doctor. The pussy doctor. We were 14. You know what we loved when we were 14 besides jerking off, Nintendo, and candy? We loved pussy. Now, we had never been anywhere near pussy. It would be years before any of us had even been in the same vicinity as a pussy, but we loved it. Oh, God, we loved it. We couldn't wait to see it and touch it and do things with it. Oh, we fucking loved pussy so much. And all we knew about gynecologists were they were the pussy doctor. They would go to work every day, put on a lab coat, clock in, and look at pussies all day long. Pussy on Monday, pussy on Tuesday. If you're lucky and you double book, you get 2 pussies on Wednesday. Holy shit, that's a hump day. Pussy, pussy, pussy. And then you get older and you realize that sometimes some of those women go to the gynecologist for reasons. That sometimes, maybe even most times, women go there just for a checkup, just to look under the hood, see what's up, just to make sure everything's running according to plan. And other times people go there because those pussies that we love so much look like someone got a mogwai wet. Some of those people have problems. Some of those people are there for treatment. That's not a good pussy. That's not a good day at work. There are just some jobs that you think are good that they're not. But throughout history, there have been some jobs that have been just straight up bad no matter how you look at it. I have a couple jobs here. I was online And I Googled worst jobs ever, and a list of about 30 jobs throughout the course of history. Most of these jobs, these jobs don't exist anymore, obviously. So if you're listening to my voice right now and you work at McDonald's and you fucking hate it and you're flipping burgers and your boss is an asshole, your boss walks in, thinks he's better than you just because he gets to wear a tie. By the way, stop making fast food managers wear ties. What are you, Ronald's accountant? You wear the short sleeve with the... I was a fast food manager for a long time, and I wore the tie to work, and god damn it, I felt stupid. You feel stupid because you look stupid. But you have a job you hate, maybe, right? Here's some jobs that are way worse than whatever job you happen to have right now. And if obviously, again, these jobs do not exist anymore because times they are a-changing. But there was a job called a sin eater. Now that's a badass name if you're like a heavy metal band. We are the Sin Eater! That's a cool name, Sin Eater. Do you know what a Sin Eater did back in the day when people were all stupid and everyone was afraid of demons and ghosts and spooks and whatever? A Sin Eater was a poor person. By the way, all of these jobs I'm about to list right now, these are all jobs that were assigned to poor people, because if you didn't have money back in the day, you were nothing but a piece of shit. You were less than. If you were poor, you didn't deserve anything. You were a Sin Eater. And what a Sin Eater is a person who would take the sins off the hands of other better people. So people who were maybe royalty, or people who had a better lot in life, let's say. People who were deemed more important, people who were just supposed to be better. Every time they sinned, they didn't want to go to hell, so what do? They would pass off their sins to someone else. And then you would have this group of people, the sin eaters, they would just go around collecting the sins from other people so that they would go to hell, because fuck them, they're poor. And the other people, they would get to go to the pearly gates. They'd get to go to heaven. Now, of course, if you're smart, you know that none of that shit exists, but still, what kind of fucked up job is that? You're taking devil bullets from motherfuckers. Then we have a plague barrier. This is exactly what it sounds like it is. This is a person who would walk around town and scoop up all of the dead people that have died because of the plague. They'd put them in a giant wheelbarrow, take them to the edge of town, and throw them in a pit with the rest of the dead bodies. I used to work at a hospital. I was a security guard at a hospital. Yes, me. All 5'8" inches of me. I was a security guard at a hospital for a few years. And the amount of times that I came home with just so many diseases. Like, could you imagine going to work as a plague barrier? Yeah. We have a vomit collector. That's another gross one. Back in the day, people were poor and people were hungry. And you can tell who was rich because fat people were rich. Poor people, they didn't have enough food to be fat. So all the rich people in the land, they were fat fucks because all they did was eat because because they could afford it. No big deal. They ate so much, in fact, that they wouldn't know when they were done eating until they had vomited. They didn't know that they had finished. The meal wasn't over until the meal was on the floor, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. It's gross. And that, by the way, that didn't mean the meal was over. That didn't mean the eating had stopped. That just meant that the eating would have to take a break. We'd have to take a quick 15-minute break from the eating. So what would happen is these rich people, the royalty and what have you, they would eat and eat and eat to the point where they could not eat anymore. And when they got to the point where they couldn't eat anymore, then they would eat a little bit more, and they would keep eating until they vomited. And then the vomit collectors would come in. They would hold the bucket. Maybe they'd hold someone's hair. I don't know. They would hold the bucket so someone else more important than them would vomit into the bucket. They would dispose of the vomit and come back because that fat fuck was going to eat again and he was going to vomit again. And that was your day. You still hate your job at Wendy's? You still think Greg, your fucking shift manager, is a dickhead for making you wash your hands after you came out? You think, really? You think you got a shitty job? You're not collecting vomit. Could be worse, right? And the best, most disgusting job back in the day, thank God this doesn't exist anymore, is a job, it's called the groom of the stool. Now that's a pretty cool sounding job, right? The groom of the stool. That sounds pretty good, right? You know what that does? much like they hired people to collect the vomit, this guy's job, the groom of the stool, he would be hired to collect the shit from the kings and the dukes. I don't know how the monarchy works. but royalty. These would be people that would live in the palace or live in the kingdoms with these kings and queens, and they would just be there watching kings take shits. They would collect the shit, dispose of the shit, but not just that. No, their job wasn't done. They would also clean the booties. They would clean the bottoms. They would scrape the assholes of these kings, making sure they were all clean. Nobody wants to walk around, with a little bit of something in that was their job. So the next time you clock in and go to work, just be thankful, okay, that you're going to work flipping goddamn burgers. You're not going to work. Your manager, Greg, who wears the short sleeve shirt and a tie because he's the manager at McDonald's, just be glad he's not asking you to collect his feces and wipe his ass. Now, those are all jobs that don't exist anymore. Those are all jobs that were just back. It was a time. It was a time and it was a place. Those don't exist anymore. But we still have jobs that seem like they shouldn't exist anymore. We have technology. I'm recording a podcast that thousands of people will hear. I'm using my telephone to do this. I'm recording this in a technology is here. And you would think that some jobs that do exist shouldn't exist because we have technology. Some of those jobs are armpit testers, armpit sniffers. So you have when companies like Gillette or what have you, when they make deodorant, they want to make sure that their deodorant works. They want to make sure that their speed sticks work. Now, you can have all the machines in the world, you can have all the technology in the world, but you're never going to really know unless you really do the testing. So what happens is they hire a group of people to put their deodorant on, run a few laps, build up some sweat, and they hire another group of people to come in and sniff those armpits and fill out a survey to find out how rosy fresh some of these armpits smell. That's a job. That's a job that exists. Mosquito bite tester. We have companies, pharmaceutical companies, all these different companies that are creating different sorts of creams and salves to put on mosquito bites. And there's bug repellent. Companies are coming up with different sort of bug repellents and sprays you can spray on yourself to prevent yourself from getting bitten by or being stung by mosquitoes. There's a job where you come in to work. You clock in and you stick your hand in this little container that contains a shitload of mosquitoes, and you just let yourself be stung or bitten or whatever the fuck mosquitoes do. And then you take the medicine, then you spray the spray. It's all testing. It's like people, if you did this to a monkey, if you made a monkey go through this, if you forced a monkey to be stung and bitten by mosquitoes 1,000 times a day, your company would be sued, people would boycott, you would be labeled a monster. You do it to a fucking person and you give them minimum wage, everything's A-okay. But the worst job, and this is the job that we still have, and weirdly enough, this is the job you'll only see in the top of the line, the classiest of the restaurants. We have the restroom attendant. Not only is the restroom attendant useless and unnecessary, how horrible is that job? Your job as a restroom attendant is to stand in a bathroom, not just smelling the poop smell. I mean, listen, if you're going to take a shit, there's going to be an odor, okay? We can't beat around the bush here. If you're going to take a shit, it's going to smell like someone took a shit. But what's even worse than that is the poop sounds. I would rather smell your shit than hear your shit. There's grunting, perhaps. Their job is to, and they're always dressed in a suit. What the fuck? And then, of course, after you're done taking a shit, you wash your hands and they offer you some soap or some gum or what the fuck ever. And listen, I've only been to one restaurant in my life that featured the restroom attendant. Okay, and when I went to the restroom, when I was done with my business. By the way, I peed. I even in a classy restaurant that has a fucking restroom, I'm still not putting my ass cheeks on a public. No way, no how. But I went to the sink, I washed my hands. The guy offered me cologne. The guy offered me gum. The guy offered me little wet naps. I didn't want any of that shit. I don't go to listen, if I want gum, I'm going to go to 7-Eleven. I'm going to go to the liquor store. I'm not going to go to the fucking guy standing in a public restroom in a tuxedo. But then he sticks his hand out. You feel that Listen, I'm all for tipping. I used to be a bartender. I used to wait tables. I understand the importance of tipping, and I think you should always do it. But I'm not going to hand some guy some money. I'm not going to hand some guy in a tuxedo some money simply because he sat there or stood there and listened to me shit. No, it's an awkward experience. The fact that you're in here bothers me. I'm not tipping you. But if you know of any restroom attendant jobs opening, let me know. Send me a link. Now, speaking of jobs, speaking of work, I've got some work to do here on the podcast. That's right, we have a show. We're gonna take a look back at the things that were this week in pop culture history. But before we do that, I read an article yesterday that once again it's proof that stupidity outweighs outrage, or at least, maybe stupidity leads to outrage. I don't know what I'm talking about. The point is, I read an article on Facebook, the Facebook Tribune. Read an article about this website, this group, this religious group is trying to boycott the new show Good Omens. Now, I haven't watched the show. I don't know much about it. All I know is the general premise, which it has to do with heaven and hell and the apocalypse and there's angels and demons and that kind of stuff. Like I said, I haven't seen the show. I can't comment on the quality of the show. I don't know anything about it. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I'll probably get there. But the show's being boycotted by this website, returntoorder.com. It's a religious website, a religious group, returntoorder.com. They're boycotting the show because they say it's blasphemous, they say it's offensive, they say it's something that their children. Won't somebody please think of the children? They're boycotting. They would like the show taken off the air. They would like the show canceled. So they signed. They started a petition because that's what assholes do these days. If you're unhappy with something, instead of just walking the fuck away and ignoring it like a normal person, like an adult, like a mature person, instead of just shutting it out and moving on with your life, you have to have the world change for you. Heaven forbid you ever decide to change for the world. Heaven forbid. You have to have the world change for you because you know what the world wants. You know what the world needs. You know what the world is offended by. So this organization, returntoorder.com, they organized a petition and they got hundreds of thousands of signatures on this petition to take this show off the air, and they sent hundreds of thousands of emails to Netflix asking them to remove the show Good Omens from the air. The only problem with that, besides the fact that you should never do that, if there's a show that bothers you, if there's a show that here's what I do. Here's a fun life hack. You ready for some life hacks? When I come across something that offends me or that I'm annoyed by or that bothers me somehow, if there is a possible way for me to avoid that, that's what I do. I sidestep it like Dick Van Dyke used to sidestep that ottoman. That's what I do with annoying bullshit. I leave. I move. I try to remove myself from the situation rather than trying to have the entire world change the situation for me. But the other problem I have with this is they sent this petition and they sent these hundreds of thousands of emails to Netflix when the show that they're trying to boycott is on Amazon Prime. Yeah, let that sink in. Think about how fucking stupid these people are. These people all have a problem with the fucking television show that clearly none of them are watching. The only thing they know about the show is exactly what I know about the show, which is the general premise of the show. None of these motherfuckers have ever actually seen second one of episode 1. They just know they're outraged by it. They just know they're offended by it. So fuck it. Let's start a petition. They sent the fucking thing to Netflix, and Netflix is a great company with a sense of humor. Netflix responded in a tweet basically promising the returntoorder.com assholes that they would promise that they would never make another episode of the show that they've never made an episode of. So good one. And Amazon Prime, they got in on the mix. They responded to Netflix's tweet by promising that if they never make another episode of Good Omens again, that Amazon Prime would never make an episode of Orange is the New Black or Stranger Things for them. jokes. So if you go to returntoorder.com, you'll see, you'll learn all about these crazy religious assholes. Now, I'm not saying that you're crazy if you're religious. I'm just saying that these people happen to be crazy and religious. But you'll go there, and the founder of returntoorder.com is some sort of priest guy who gives a fuck. But he's got testimonials, and they're not testimonials on the website or the mission. They're just a bunch of people that are talking about, what a nice guy this guy is. It's fucking weird. But you can get the book. You can get a free book. All you have to do is fill out your information, and they will send you the Return to Order book, the book that this whole thing is started. And I gotta say, I did it. So pretty soon on this very podcast, I will have a book review of the Return to Order novel, I guess. But these groups are all over the place. There's tons of these groups that go around picking on things that shouldn't concern them because they think they know what's good for everybody. And they use our kids, by the way. When they want to try to prove their point, they always use our kids. They always use our children. But the biggest group, and I've talked about this group before, maybe on this podcast, maybe on Periscope, but I've talked about this group before. This is a group, it's an organization called the 1 Million Moms. And if you don't know what 1 million moms are, basically it's millions of the worst, absolute worst fucking people on the planet. And they go around and they target television shows and movies and companies and music and they boycott everything, and they try to fuck everybody over just because what they're doing doesn't fall in line with what they're doing. And you can go to 1millionmoms.com and you can take a look at a list of their current campaigns. And of course you can donate to help them. I don't know how much money it costs to send a fucking email to a network, but if you want to donate, you can donate to help them fight the good fight, according to them. But here's some of the things that they're currently trying to boycott. Here's some of the battles they're currently in the midst of. So the 1 million moms, they are boycotting Kit Kat because Kit Kat apparently has a commercial that features a Missy Elliott song. And even though the song that is used in the commercial has been heavily edited and all bad words are taken, they still have a problem with it because the original song, Missy Elliott, is talking about a man's penis, apparently. Now, I don't really know the song they're talking about, and I don't know the commercial they're talking about because who fucking watches commercials? But they want no one to eat Kit Kats anymore. Honestly, I don't care if I don't care if they showed a snuff film. I don't care if they showed a real murder in one of their commercials. Have you tried the green tea Kit Kats? They're the most delicious fucking thing on the planet. They can come in here and they can fuck me. Their next commercial could be just video. It could just be video of them fucking me. Those fucking green tea Kit Kats are the best. They're also trying to boycott Burger King because Burger King came out with something called the Real Meal. I don't know what this is because this is only in certain areas. But if you live in an area where they offer real meals, try one. Let me know how they are. But Real Meals, it's a parody of the Happy Meal. According to Burger King, that real people, adults, we're not happy all the time, which is true. Sometimes we're pissed. Sometimes we're sad. Sometimes we don't give a fuck. So you can go to certain locations. You can go to certain Burger King and get one of the real meals, and you have a choice. You can get the pissed meal. You can get the sad meal. You can get the don't give a fuck meal. This is great. It's basically, by the way, it's just a Whopper and fries and a drink. It's just a combo. They're just having fun. And you know what that means? When anyone has fun, the 1 million moms has to boycott. So they're boycotting Burger King. They're also boycotting Chips Ahoy because apparently over Mother's Day, Chips Ahoy had a commercial going where there was a drag queen. That's right. They had the balls to feature a man dressed like a woman try to sell motherfuckers Chips Ahoy. And the commercial, there's a drag queen. I don't know if she's famous or not. She might be from one of the RuPaul shows or some shit. I don't care. But in the commercial, she's fucking she's eating these Chips Ahoy cookies, and she's like, you got to get your mom these Chips Ahoys, because, whether she's a drag queen mom or your stepmom or your real mom, you got to give your mom a happy Mother's Day, what the fuck ever, right? And if you go to their website, their complaint is, how are we supposed to explain to our children what a drag queen is? My daughter is 11. My daughter has watched RuPaul's Drag Race. My daughter has she's watched she's watched cartoons that feature two female characters making out. She's aware that gay people are on the planet. Do you know how many times I've had to have a conversation about what that is? Do you know how many times I've had to explain to my daughter what a drag queen is? 0 times. I've never in my life had a conversation trying to explain what a drag queen is. For the most part, kids don't even know what drag queens are. Because if they're doing it right, drag queens just kind of look like large, ugly women. Do you also have to explain to your children what ugly women are? Your child's life is not going to be over if he realizes that sometimes men put makeup on and sell cookies. And of course, they're also boycotting Cartoon Network and a bunch of different other shows. And here's the best part: there's a page on their website where you can go find out all the battles they've won. All the times that they've won the good fight, right? So you can go there and they're really taking credit for something that they didn't do, because they were boycotting this show. I don't even know the name of the show, but it was a show about a con man who was pretending to be a priest to get away from other bad guys and the police and that kind of stuff. And they were boycotting, right? And it was a show on TBS. The fact that I don't even know the title of this show should tell you that this show got canceled because nobody fucking watched it. It wasn't because the 1 million moms had a problem with it. It wasn't because their petitions worked. It was because it was a show nobody watched on a network nobody watched. But that's on their page. That's on their victories page. I think they call it the victories page, which fuck you. So I'm going down the list. I'm going down their website trying to figure out, by the way, this is what you should do. If you want to figure out which companies, which movies, which television shows, and which companies deserve your time and your money, go to 1millionmoms.com, find out who they're fighting with, and support the fuck out of those people. They hate Netflix, they hate Cartoon Network, they hate Nickelodeon, all this kind of shit. So I was going down the list, and they are boycotting Wendy's. Listen, if you want to boycott drag queens and Kit Kats and all this stuff, okay, more power to you. I don't think it's going to work, and no one's going to listen to you crazy people. But you know what? Do what you want to do. This is America, and okay, if you want to be a fucking idiot, you can be a fucking idiot. That's what our founding fathers died for. But I will not sit idly by and watch you boycott and drag the good name of Dave Thomas through the mud. I will not have you shit on one of the greatest fast food franchises ever. I will not have you try to destroy one of the few joys I have in my life. I was so angry that I was going to send an angry email to the 1 million moms until I read it. They're not boycotting Wendy's. They're thanking Wendy's. They're thanking Wendy's because of all of the support that they've given to adoption. Wendy's apparently has a stand. I don't know, I don't know where Wendy's falls politically, because I don't go to my fast food places to find out who to vote for. I go there because Wendy's is delicious. I don't give a shit if Arby's is like, hey, Hitler was okay. You know what else is okay? Fucking beef and cheddars, right? But apparently Wendy's over the years has been has helped adoption over the years, because Dave Thomas himself was adopted. So they're just thanking him, because apparently these fucking cuckoo birds, they think that being pro-adoption means that you're anti-abortion, and these people suck the dicks. You know what I like the most about podcasts? You can't tell that I just took 32 minutes away from the podcast. I got a fucking phone call in the middle of recording this goddamn thing. Another phone scammer, because they don't quit. They just don't quit. And I don't understand at this point. I don't know if it's several different organized criminals. I don't know. I don't know where they're coming from, but I get two, three, maybe 4, 5, 6 calls a day, and they clearly know. Like, I don't mind having, if I got the time, I'll fuck with them. I'll keep them on the phone. I'll waste as much as their time as humanly possible, because as long as they're on the phone being bothered by me, they're not on the phone tricking an old person into giving them the PIN number. But now they don't fuck around. I'll answer the phone and they just hung up. They're just basically at this point prank calling me. I don't get it. But they called during the podcast, so I had to hit pause and take a break. And then I'm not gonna lie, I had a snack. So I got my protein and I'm ready to go. Now let's get to the point of this whole episode. We're going to take a look back throughout pop culture history. Some fun events have happened over the last 7 days, from June 23rd to June 30th. June 23rd, 1989, yesterday, as I record this, yesterday was the 30th anniversary of probably one of the first, at least, let's say there was Superman, and then this one, Batman. It was one of the first big superhero movies. Because, believe it or not, kids, there was a time on Earth where we didn't get 7 comic book movies a year. There was a time when we didn't have any comic book movies, and this is definitely one of the good ones. Batman, Tim Burton's Batman. By the way, everyone is going crazy. All these fucking nerds are going crazy that they cast Robert Pattinson, the Twilight guy. They cast him as the new Batman because they feel like, the sparkly vampire from Twilight could never pull off the the Batman character, the Bruce Wayne character. Back in 1989, when this movie was released, no one thought Michael Keaton could do it. Because up to that point, Michael Keaton was Beetlejuice. He was the funny guy. He can't be Batman. And then, you know what happens? He was the best Batman. Yeah, you know what? I've had time to think about this. I thought Ben Affleck was a decent Batman. Christian Bale, great Batman. Val Kilmer, better than you think. George Clooney sucks. I'm going to go with it, unless we're counting the animated series, which Kevin Conroy would be the best Batman, and you fucking know it's true. Michael Keaton did a great job. People are just pissed off because the Twilight guy is the Batman now, right? But here's the thing. Here's what's wrong with you people. The people complaining about Robert Pattinson being in the new Batman movie, these are people who are only complaining because they hate Twilight. These are also people who have not seen Twilight or anything else Robert Pattinson has ever done. Robert Pattinson is one of the greatest actors we have working right now, and it just so happens that his most famous role and his most famous movie was the Twilight movies that, once again, were not made for any of you people. They did not think of the sweaty fat guy in the Iron Man t-shirt behind a computer when they made Twilight. Believe it or not, people, believe it or not, you fat, sweaty jerks, they don't make everything for you. Sometimes they make things, the Twilight movie, yes, they made the Twilight movies for little tiny girls, okay? And they cast a brilliant actor, it's Robert Pattinson, but 30 years ago, Batman was released in theaters. Also, on June 23rd, 2013, Nick Walenda crosses the Grand Canyon on a tightrope for some reason. Last night, he crossed, I guess it was the Las Vegas Strip on a tightrope. I don't know what the fuck. Listen, my dad watches this shit. They air every time every time this Nick Walenda guy does some sort of anything stupid and fool. He watches. And listen, if you want to watch this guy cross things on a tightrope, I'm fine with that, as long as you are only watching to see if he dies. There's absolutely no reason to watch any of these to see, Evel Knievel's son try to jump over. There's no reason to watch any of these things to see, to hope that they make it. You only watch these things to see if they die. Also, this guy is cashed in. I talked about this before when we talked about skydiving and bungee jumping and all that shit. Listen, if you want to do those things, fine. If you want to jump out of a perfectly good plane, that's fine. If you want to bungee jump, that's totally cool. If you want to cross the Grand Canyon on a tightrope, fine with me. But when you get diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, I ain't gonna give a shit. You cashed in that. You're not allowed to get sympathy for anything. If you die for any reason, it is not a tragedy because you don't give a flying fuck. Also, how boring is this? It's like a 3 whenever they air these things, it's like a 3-hour event on the History Channel. Why is it always the History Channel? How is this Well, whatever takes a step away from Hitler, I guess. That's the Nazi channel. The History Channel is basically Hitler, aliens, pawn shop reality shows, and watching guys almost die. That's what the History Channel is. June 25th, 1978. The first time a rainbow flag, a gay pride flag, was flown over City Hall in San Francisco. And if you have a problem with that, kill yourself. San Francisco, way to go. June 26th, 2009, Michael Jackson dies. Again, there are still people out there in this world who will they will fight for Michael Jackson. When Michael Jackson, here's the thing. I wasn't there, obviously. I was not in the room, okay? I don't know what happened. I don't have evidence of Michael Jackson molesting any child. I don't. But that doesn't mean I can't say without a shadow of a doubt that I know Michael Jackson molested children. You want to know why? He had a monkey. He had a Ferris wheel. He did something. Listen, I'm not saying that that's proof that he molested someone, but God damn it, if you own a monkey and a Ferris wheel, listen, if you own a monkey, you're weird, okay? If you own a Ferris wheel, also weird. You own both, you're diddling something. Probably the monkey. At least the monkey, right? So then when Michael Jackson, he keeps getting accused of molestation, and the Michael Jackson hardcore fans are like, no, he didn't. That's bullshit. Okay, right? And then when he dies, everyone's like, can we now finally drop this whole child? No, that just means that he's a child molester that will no longer be able to molest children, unless his job in hell is to molest sinning children, in which case, you know what? I'm fine with that. Everyone deserves a purpose in life, or the afterlife, as the case may be. But shortly after, and I don't know how this got covered up. I don't know how this got buried. Shortly after Michael Jackson died, people went into his home and they found a bunch of horrifying stuff. They found weird porn, and it was porn, but Michael Jackson had taken pictures of children from other magazines, ripped the heads off, and then glued the heads of the children onto the bodies of the porn actors inside. Gross. Holy shit. Going back to the monkey, he had animal abuse porn. I didn't know that was a thing. He had animal, and still these motherfuckers say he didn't do shit. So you will be missed, Michael Jackson. That fucking Thriller, so good. June 26th, 1977, Elvis Presley performed his last live concert in Indianapolis. So here's the list of the timeline. Elvis wakes up probably around noon, makes himself the first fried banana and peanut butter and jelly sandwich of the day, pops a couple pills, because why not? Go to the dealership, buy another 7 Cadillacs. Go to Indianapolis. Perform as lazily as possible all of the songs that you stole from black people. Then take a shit, take more pills, die on the potty. June 28th, 1997, Mike Tyson bites somebody's fucking ear off. Here's what amazes me about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, first of all, he was a great boxer. One of the greatest boxers of all time. He might even be the best heavyweight boxer in the history of boxing. But Mike Tyson, and this is not allegedly here, Mike Tyson went to prison for rape. Rape! And this was before he had the opportunity to bite an ear off. Then he bites an ear, so he's a rapist he's a cannibal rapist, basically, right? So that was 97. Cannibal rapist. Fast forward about 15 years, he's a celebrity. He's on The View, for God's sakes. He's got his own cartoon show. He's in the fucking Hangover movies. How is it possible? What the fuck happened? He should die on the toilet. June 29th, 2007, the iPhone debuted, and let me take you back, guys. In 2007, I didn't have a cell phone. In 2007, I was not a texter. There was no such thing as social media at that time. I mean, there was MySpace. There might have been Facebook. I don't think Twitter was around or anything. There was really no need for me to have, I didn't see a need for me to have a phone. The only reason I would have a phone is one, in case of an emergency, or two, in case you motherfuckers wanted to bother me. Why would I make the choice to pay a company to give you people the right and the opportunity to bother me just whenever you wanted to? I remember when the smartphones started coming out, people kept telling me, they looked at me like I was a rapist. So, you don't have a fucking cell phone? What kind of monster are you? First cell phone I got was an iPhone. No, I'm sorry. First smartphone I got was an Android. And that was the last time I got an Android phone. By the way, again, I know, again, I'm repeating myself. I've said this before. If you have an Android phone by choice, if you've chosen to purchase an Android phone instead of an iPhone, what are you doing with your life? Anyway, it's hard to believe we've had iPhones for 12 years, right? And they just keep getting more expensive, and they keep, you know what? Every time they come out with a new iPhone, they come out with another way to fuck you. Now, I understand that you should want your customers to buy your products. But they're making it impossible. So first you had the iPhone, and you could plug in any headphones you wanted to, right? Everything was fine. Then they came out with a new version of the iPhone, and then you had to buy their brand of headphones because nothing else would fit into the little slot. Now you buy a new iPhone, it doesn't even have a slot. There's no slot. Now you have to get these stupid AirPods, which cost $140. Do you know how many times these headphones have slipped out of my sweaty ear since I've recorded this episode? 7 times. I will break these fucking things by accident on a daily basis, and now all I gotta do is go to the store, drop $10, get some new headphones. If I get the new iPhone, which I desperately need, by the way, I'm gonna have to take out a loan to afford your fucking headphones. Not fair, not cool. But I'm still a loyal Apple supporter. Anyway, that's the podcast, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. You can follow the podcast and subscribe to the podcast wherever podcasts can be found. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can, occasionally you can watch me record these things live on Periscope at periscope.tv/itsgarylee. And if you want early access to a lot of these podcasts, hit me up on the Patreon at patreon.com, The Gary Lee Show. Until next time, have a good day. I never know how to fucking end these things. It's awkward when I'm not recording these live. It's real awkward to have a one-sided conversation. It's hard to have a one-sided conversation with no one, but it's real hard to politely end a one-sided conversation with goodbye.